Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Jade Cocoon. I'm your host TPC Gamer, and in our last episode, I made a little change to our team, which immediately backfired on me. So I've rearranged the minions, and we're going with the classic flavors. Crowley, Lynod, nobody. Before we began, I made my way to this spiral cavern, and this is as far as we got the last time we arrived in the forest. And that glowy door at the bottom? I'm pretty sure that's progress. And it's interesting, I really don't remember the Dragonfly Forest, but I do remember that room. Like, when I think of Jade Cocoon, I'm reminded of one or two very specific things, and one of them is that spiral. I don't know why. Oh yeah, between videos I picked up some new equipment too. Of note, I have a little hand blade that is classified as a knife, but it looks more like a herb cutter. Now these guys are Masquera, and they always reminded me of the Soul Suckers from Space Crusade. I want to say they went on to become the Gene Stealers in Warhammer, but I don't know, because the Warhammer 40,000 universe is strange and confused. Oh, but speaking of things becoming other things, good link, Andy. I've decided the rules that dictate when I'm going to change a minion's name. By the way, that was an attempt at putting Crowley to sleep, which... one of the most flaccid status elements in this game? But whatever. The rule is, if the minion changes body shape, which I always thought of as being their species, then we're going to introduce a new name. I mean, starting from now, at least. Because, I mean, I know that Crowley and Nobody have had 4 different bodies between them. Nice! You'll notice I managed to get some speed into Crowley, so his attacks are a little more effective. Only a little, because he's still not the fastest, but he hits like a truck. Now the ring we just collected is like the fire seals from the previous episode. It's a chance to put a minion to sleep using Levant. And much like the fire seals, they are kinda useless. This lamp right here, I always thought that was a little UFO. Because that makes total sense in the East Indian themed RPG. And it never dawned on me that, hey, here's a close-up version of that same model. It's clearly a horned lantern. Oh, this is new. Is that a key? I think it is. But I like how the first place my mind goes is, can I pick up any of this stuff and shove it into my pockets? Ooh, and what's that? I don't know, but I suspect we'll be heading down that way. They wouldn't model that part of the world if we couldn't go there. I mean, putting on my game developer's hat again, they developed this game in much the same way as the interior maps in Final Fantasy VII. They threw down the 3D nav mesh and then positioned cameras around the room so you can, well, like here, you can follow Levant down the stairs without making things despawn. And then once they have the nav mesh, it's just a case of throwing a pre-rendered backdrop onto the screen so it looks like you're navigating a fully rendered environment, rather than a series of hitbox corridors. You guys look pretty freaky. I don't know what you do stat-wise, but I'm gonna catch you anyways. I'm sure I can use you for something. But yeah, I think that letting you roam around pre-rendered backgrounds is the best choice for this game, because pre-rendered backgrounds look good forever. I mean, compare the stuff that you see in the forests to LSD. Because LSD is only a couple months older than Jade Cocoon, but it looks ancient compared to this. Or Final Fantasy VII, since I already brought it up. What looks worse with the benefit of good graphics? The pre-rendered backdrops, or the ugly Popeye character models? Exactly. And pre-rendered stuff also helps for re-releases down the line. Like, if they wanted to remake this game today, it would be easy enough to recreate the world maps because you just save the world artwork at a higher resolution. Job done. You just pour all that save time into making the monster models. I don't know what that stupid little stomp is supposed to be. Like, if it has some kind of added effect or whatever, but that is adorable and silly. And those are my favorite kinds of attacks in video games. The really, really stupid ones. It's like Rest in Smash Bros. An attack in which you fall asleep. Although with that said, I don't remember there being any correlation between how hard an attack looks like it hits versus how hard it actually hits. So if these bug guys have a high strength stat, they would do just as much damage with their stomp as Crowley's Haymaker. Although with that said, given that they're relying on magic, I suspect they do not have a high strength stat. It's weird because that never would have occurred to me when I was playing this game as a teenager. I just use my strongest guy no matter what. But this game makes it a bit more obvious than the Final Fantasy series, for example, where pretty much every monster is the same, but there's the obvious one or two that have high physical defense or whatever, like the Iron Giants. And I really like the way the captured monster has kickback. I mean, it really highlights the effort Levant's going through to put the monsters into cocoons. I mean, they look cute and all, but canonically he's imprisoning demons, so it follows that it's a tough job. Alright, let's see what we have behind door number 1. For some reason this reminds me of a beach, rather than a forest. I cannot place why, but this looks more coastal than verdant. One for me, one for Lynod. Now you might be wondering why I sometimes call him Lynod, and sometimes I call him Bod. That is a very good question. Something I've noticed, you hear your minions with shab liquor, and if you look at the item description, it says that it's made out of pickled shab minions. I had always assumed it was a mistranslation of shabby, or something like that, but now that I think about it, it probably refers to new shab and the minions in that minions in that family. Like, you're feeding minions liquor made from their kin. That is... Is there a minion up there? How do I get up there? Oh, there's probably a stairway behind one of these other doors. We'll get up there. Somehow. Alright, what is behind door number 2? The answer is apparently nothing. Game, are you lying to me? Because that is a rarity for games with pre-rendered backdrops, because that's... like, effort has gone into that, and it's absolutely nothing. You wouldn't see that in modern games, I tell you what. Alright, door number 3. Ooh, a variant. Well, you know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna catch this guy. Kind of a shame I left Trish at home, because you'll need that type advantage when you fight 2 at once. I'm gonna tag in Nobody, because I think he has a spell that hits multiple targets. And if he doesn't, that's fine. He's not at a type disadvantage or stalemate, so I should be okay. Oh, he does! Awesome! The tier 2 spells are suffixed with either an S or an A, so Maltis and Maltia, for example. I always forget which one hits every target and which one's the powered up version. It gets really tricky when you get to spells that can inflict status ailments, because I can never remember which spell does which thing. Still, I don't mind having to learn another language for the skills, because the words that I picked for the spells are more flowery and beautiful, and it really fits into the Indian motif that the rest of the game has. And the fact that we've picked up usable items that summon magic, it makes me think that we're asking the gods for help. Like, you know, Malti is the god of the wind, and we're channeling him for assistance. And it kind of makes sense, because there are gods and goddesses in this game. Like, Elrim is the god of the forest, for example. And it's not just the people in the village are misunderstanding things, because people have just straight up met the gods. You know, Elrim is a guy, and he is just over there. Okay. Capture time! If these guys do have strong magic, rather than physical attacks, they might work well with Lynod, which means that we may well see a new entrant in our water slot. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've actually got to catch them first. And it's coming back to me, I always used these bug guys when I was younger, because I liked that they were silly looking and cute, if I'm honest. Similar thing, my team in Pokemon was pretty much always Blastoise, Articuno, and 3 Clefables. Those being my starter, the badass bird thing, and the cutest little guys in the world. Also Metronome, which was and continues to be a hilarious wildcard. Terrible strategy-wise, but that's how I play Go or chess or whatever. I mean, you can try whatever fancy tactics you like. I don't know what I'm doing, so every one of your gambits will fail. I'll still lose, but not in quite a smug, self-satisfying way as you would like. That reminds me. A friend of mine and myself sat playing chess the other day, and he turns to me and says, "Hey, how about we make this interesting?" So we stopped playing chess. Oh, and how about that? Door number 2 is opened. Could this be the boss door? Because I think it just might be. Looking at the scenery, I think this game loses something by not having animated backdrops like Final Fantasy 8 and 9. I think that the water here is meant to be rippling, and the game does kind of lose something from its stillness. Whoa, what? Sorry, I've no idea what I just picked up, but I summoned Kikinak, so that's gotta be worth something. Now this guy, I remember his voice very vividly. He has a very camp, lispy voice, which is weird because he doesn't strike me as being that kind of archetypal character. Oh, I guess I picked up a mystical plate like the merging or magic ones. I wonder if that's an actual item, or if it's just something that shows up in your inventory to be immediately taken away again. See, personally, I wouldn't even put it in your inventory. Because that scene plays automatically, I'd throw up the text collection and return boxes, but I wouldn't do anything with them. And it looks like we're at a dead end. I wish I knew how to get to that ledge on the other screen, but it looks like we can't. Anyhow, I'm going to head home and regroup, and we will meet again at probably the end of the first fork in the road. Alright, we're back. Now, you may recall this direction on the left leads to a dead end with an encounter, and yeah, that's an encounter. This way leads to a locked door, and since we picked up a key in the last episode, I think this is where we need to use it. Hey! I'd like to think I can take credit for that, but this is literally the only door in the forest that we haven't been through yet, so yeah. Say, now, this looks good. I don't quite know how this gels with the rest of the forest, but I like the minimalist land that our texture guys forgot kind of look. I wonder what this white stuff actually is. It looks kind of like snow, but since I'm meant to be in the middle of the jungle, it's probably not. But I suppose cotton or some facsimile? Oh, and don't think that I don't see that item beside my foot. This scene kicked in before I could grab it, but all that means is we just have to wait a little bit before I can get it. Now, that is such a Japanese trope. My name is whatever, you may use it only if you best me in combat. How about I call you whatever I like? How about your name is Cornbread, and you have to deal with it? Anyway, I've had a thought. Since Cornbread is a bird, maybe his AI is weak to fire. I mean, it makes sense, right? So, to test my hypothesis, we have Crowley 9 doing a fire attack. Figure A. Yep, he's weak to fire, alright. For the game's first proper boss, he really doesn't put up much of a fight if you come prepared. Teenage me never did this well. I just rammed my head into the wall over and over until I knocked it down with my face, because that's an achievement. Oh, pretty good EXP haul as well. I wonder if, in terms of the game's combat engine, that was a minion fight. It just happens that the minion was Birdman shaped and the capture flag was turned off. If it were, it would mean you could potentially hack Cornbread onto your team. Interesting. And let's learn about the Calabash herb, why not? I care not for your intrigue and world-building game. Give me things! Oh hey, what do you know? The plot device is not in Dungeon 2 of 4. We must move on to Dungeon 3 of 4. Do you think the plot important item will be there? Why not speculate wildly in the comments? In the meantime, we got a sample of it here, so hopefully somebody in town can do something with it. And yeah, with the important bit out the way, let's ask about this mysterious other man. Oh damn, Kelmar's been in the forest! He's the blacksmith's son from back in town, and he's apparently our best friend? I mean, he would more likely be our rival if this were an anime or high school drama. A pretty smart guy from the look of things, mind you. Although I have to wonder, what is the point of having the keys to the various forests? Louis can get in and out of the forests, no problem. Kelmar can get in and out, no problem. What are the keys for? And why do I need them if I am the last best hope? I don't know. So whatever. I will see you around, cornbread. I actually like that takeoff animation. It's especially well made too, because the rigging on that guy's model has to be all over the place. I mean, he's probably the least humanoid in the game, if that makes sense. Okay, so we finished the forest, so now it's time for another talky bit. Come on, CPC gamer, bring your A game. Oh hey, Mabu's accessorizing. That's probably not a good thing. Oh, and something I like about this game, it doesn't regurgitate plot points you've already seen. Thematically, it can look silly for characters to say, "What did you learn? Oh, I see," in subsequent text boxes or whatever, but it's much better than having to sit through a character repeat the dialogue that we have just seen. I'm not entirely sure what the game is referring to when I talk about the Forest Man, because there's, what, 5 people that could be right now. Like, you've got the Dream Man, Chorus, Cornbread, whoever's waiting for me in the Spider Forest. I mean, Kelmar, maybe? Either way, here's a story from the in-game Bible. Also, naming the guy Mammon, very clever little nod to the Bible, which originally uses Mammon to refer to the concept of money and material possessions, but due to accidental capitalization in the telephone game, Mammon now refers to an actual demon. Or possibly the devil. I don't know, if you look at the authorship and revisionism in the Bible, it is a really interesting topic, but on the other hand, it is sad and baffling. Now, I'm not going to cut the video just now, because there's a few bits that we can do between the second and third forests, starting with the Watchtower. Or maybe not? Kelmar is meant to be in here, and you can get something from him if you talk to him. Oh well, never mind, because there he is. This conversation is set up if you go and speak to the blacksmith after the first forest. He says that he hasn't seen Kelmar lately, and if you see him, you should speak to him. Now right here, this is setting up how Kelmar can get in and out of the forest without the key. If there are cracks appearing in the barriers, it makes sense that he'd be able to slip in and out eventually. And if the plot were a little different, this could have been used as a plot point. Maybe the catalyst for the whole game. Somebody sneaks into the forest through a gap, then it seals shut behind them, and you have to go and rescue them. And I think that this conversation assumes we know more about Cornbread than we actually do. Makes sense. I mean, Kelmar knows more than we do, and presumably he's talked about it, just not to us. And I am starting to think that maybe I've misremembered this bit. I would swear blind to you that if you come here and you talk to Kelmar after the Birdman fight, you get a key item or something. Probably wrong. The only missable item I remember is his one sword that you get in the next forest, and that's one of many reasons that I look forward to going there. But before we do, I'm going to head back to the Dragonfly Forest, and I'm going to get that bag that we saw in the boss arena. And we're back. I was going to stop recording after this episode, but given what's coming up, I think I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer. You'll see why when we get there. Sleep spores. That is the exact opposite of what we came in here to collect. Can I go this way? Is this... Oh, I can. Awesome. I didn't know. I thought I was hitting a backdrop because the scaling can be a bit funny sometimes. Oh, nice. See, in this instance, I can see the appeal of getting the warp gem, because the other teleporter is on the other side of the forest. Right. There is one more thing that I'm going to show off, then we'll move on to the next world. It's something that I've been told we can do, but whatever, it's still cool. If you go to the boss arena, we can go to our items. I think it's in valuables. Aha! Yes, it is. We can use the ocarina that we've been given. And look what happens! You thought it was going to be the Song of Time, but no, it's basically Tingle. This is a pretty fun mechanic, game-wise, and I can't really think of another RPG that does it. Check it out, it's a refightable boss! And not only can you refight this guy, you get the same EXP for doing it as the first time that you beat him. And I'm glad that this option is available, because it means that I can get a few effectively free levels before I move to the next map. Although I will be doing it Pokemon style, using the old bait and switch, since EXP goes to whoever landed the final blow, rather than all participants. So, yeah, Bod's getting this one. The 2-level gap is pretty bad, and we're going to need to close that before we go to the next forest. That was a cool looking attack! I wonder what the battle scripts look like in this game. Because I saw a Final Fantasy VII Wikia, and it listed the battle scripts for each monster, and it was really interesting to see some of the really obscure if-then forks. Oh, nice! I wonder if that happens every time. I don't know. But I do know that every time you win the fight, you get a little bit more lore. But by and large, it just repeats the story that Garai just told you. So I'm going to use this guy to grind my levels, and we'll see you next time for a bit more Jade Cocoon. And until next time, goodbye! Okay, I don't know when I'm going to put this bit of the video, so welcome to Let's Play Jade Cocoon, or welcome back, or well done on randomly skipping to this point of the video and finding my secondary intro. Whatever. An in-game flag has been raised, which means that Mabu wants to talk about something. I thought I had a tough time with the first two talky bits. This one is gonna be a marathon. I really like Mabu's new character portrait. I mean, you can't see the whole thing, but it looks like she's hugging herself, which is generally a good body language indicator that something is not right. And I know it's at the bottom of the list, but let's ask how Mabu's doing. She's the one doing all the hard work, right? Something that this game does really well is that pretty much every character has their own voice. And I like that Mabu is written as exactly what she is as a character. Like, I don't think the game ever says how old she is, but she's obviously in that awkward in-betweeny phase that teenagers go through, where she's not a child, but she's not an adult, and she doesn't wholly agree with whatever is going on in the world around her. Especially when you take into consideration the fact that suddenly she's one of the most powerful women in the village, and people hate her for it. I don't know if I agree with using a text dump to develop her character necessarily, but what else can you do, you know? Because gameplay-wise, she's basically just Nurse Joy. But on the other hand, I do agree with what they did with her as a character, and the way she's used as a game mechanic, because you are not the lone hero saving the world. You're one part of a duo that cannot function without the other. And she's an exceptionally strong character as well, because she is coping with pure pain, potentially for the rest of her life, because it's going to help everyone else. And she's fine with that, so long as you are there to help her when she needs it. And you know, I think I'm just going to sidetrack myself a little bit because I don't know how long this last topic's going to last. One of my favorite tropes is where the big hero just takes a break and relaxes. Like here, we can put the sword down, lower our mask, and just be kids for a bit before suiting up and throwing ourselves in harm's way again. And that worked out pretty nicely, so back to the grind we go. Oh, I remember this. We get an armor or something. Yeah, that thing, I think it offers no defense, but it does something. Like it heals you or protects you against status ailments. I don't know. But that was a really nice scene. I'm glad I caught that. And one more thing, before I go. I worked out what happened to that plot thread I was trying to solve. After talking to Kelmar about going into the forest, you need to talk to his dad. By the way, this is the blacksmith. It's your weapon and armor shop that, by and large, you do not need to go to. Protecting nothing. Man, he went into that forest without you. He doesn't care. Oh, nice! We got a free sword! I'm not gonna buy anything from you, man. Not after you just gave me the +4/+4 sword of kick-ass. Alright, see you next time, everybody.